Hey guys, back at it again. This is Oscar doing another weekend project. Today I'm going to show you something easy, simple, and fixable. We're going to change the upper ball joints on this 2007 Chevy Colorado. This is a two-wheel drive. Alright guys, enjoy. Okay guys, so once you remove the tire, this is the upper ball joint that we're going to go ahead and be replacing. Pretty easy job. It's just held on by 4 12mm bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. So before we start taking all that, and also it's held on by another nut here. But before we start taking that out, see this? This is actually I believe this is a brake sensor, front brake sensor. We're gonna go ahead and just remove this, so that way when we take this out, we don't pull on this and damage it. So all you're gonna do, you're gonna use a small flat screwdriver, and we're just gonna insert them like so. We're just gonna push this out. Just gonna unclip these. And what I'd like to do here, let me show you these two clips. We're just gonna go ahead and remove them. Well, not remove them, but push them in, so that way we can I can show you the exposed connector on the other side. That's where we're going to go ahead and detach it. And believe me, it's going to be much easier if you do this step. Bear with me. Okay, I think I got it. Yeah. Alright. So this is a connector. And just unclip it. Just a little clip here. Like so. Just push it. And then let me see if I can do that with one hand. Give me 1 second. Alright guys, let me put the camera down and try to do this as best as I can. Bear with me here. Alright guys, this is pretty stuck in there, but I was managed to take it off. So you just want to unclip this, and again, that way we don't damage anything. And this is actually I believe 13mm nut. We're going to remove it so that way this little bracket could come out, and we don't damage this sensor. So let me go ahead and get that here. Get that done real quick. Alright guys, so it's going to remove this little bracket, and again, that's a 13mm nut that we're going to remove. Oh, just be careful. And again, this is just a bracket that's holding this sensor here. I'm just removing this so that way it doesn't pull on it and so forth, and we don't damage it, okay? So we're just going to put that aside. So the next step, now that we have that wire out of the way, in order for us to get to this upper ball joint, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the steering knuckle nut, so that way we can have a little bit more access. And this is what we're gonna go to remove. So let's go and do that real quick. Alright guys, again, you can actually use a huge hammer and hit the steering knuckle here to remove this stuck tie rod end, or in my case, I'm just going to use my puller. You can find these pullers in any local auto parts store. Basically, the way it works, you guys kind of show you. I'm just going to place this bad boy in here like so. Let me see if I can show you guys. Like that. Make sure that the pullers align. I don't know if you guys can see that. And I'm going to go ahead and tighten it from the top, and the whole purpose is for it to push the tie rod end down. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then we'll come back. Alright guys, so now that the tie rod end has been removed, this is going to allow me to actually move the actual hub assembly itself, and again, it's going to give me access to the actual nut. And I believe this is a 21mm nut. Yes, it is. So let me go ahead and loosen this up, and then we'll go to the next step, okay? Alright guys, so this next step, once you loosen the nut from the upper ball joint, don't remove it all the way, guys. The reason for that being is because you have two options to remove this. You can use your handy dandy Thor hammer to basically hit the steering knuckle here a couple times, and that should loosen the ball joint. But the reason why we didn't take out the nut, just because the upper control arm is going to want to go up, just because it's compressed down. But you have another option as well. If you have something like this in your arsenal, this is a ball joint separator. The way it works, I'm just going to show you guys real quick. It's just going to go in here like so, and the bottom part is going to hit the actual stud, and I'm going to go ahead and tighten this, and that should separate the ball joint. Whatever you have in your arsenal, guys, these are options you could do. So again, let me go remove, separate the upper ball joint, and then we'll continue, okay? Alright guys, real quick, in case you do have a ball joint separator, this is basically the setup that I'm talking about. I push the ball joint separator with the hammer inside the upper ball joint, because we are replacing it. I don't really care of damaging that part, but this is what I want you guys to see. And now I'm just gonna ratchet this bad boy up, and just remember, do not remove the actual nut, so that way you're gonna see right now, once I start ratcheting it, it's gonna separate it. But actually, you know what, let me do this with two hands, and then I'll be right back. Alright guys, go ahead and get this process started. Alright, there we go. So now that pretty easy, I separated the actual upper ball joint from the steering knuckle. And again, get one of these, guys. It's a lifesaver, especially if you do these type of jobs often. So now that I removed that, you see how the upper control arm went up a little bit. Let me go ahead and finish up removing that nut off here real quick, and then I'll be right back, okay? Okay guys, so now that we separated the actual steering knuckle from the ball joint, pretty easy job. Again, it's just only held down by 4 12mm bolts. So in order for us to remove this, you will need a 13mm socket to hold the 13mm nut from the top, like so. And then we're just gonna ratchet out these 4 bolts. So let me get and do that real quick. Hopefully I can show you guys. And again, we're going to do that for all 4 bolts. We remove them, and then we're just going to swap out that part. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then I'll come back. Alright guys, so I'm basically taking the last bolt here. Once we remove that bolt, the actual ball joint, upper ball joint, should come out. So this is what it looks like. And let me go and show you the new ball joint. Alright guys, so this is the new ball joint. This is a part number from my local auto parts store. Like always, whenever you do install new parts, just make sure you compare them side by side, make sure they are the correct parts. Let me see here. Okay, alright, they look the same, and these are universal upper ball joints. If you're putting your left or right upper ball joints, it should be the same. The cool part is that this actually has a grist fitting, so that's pretty neat to have. Alright guys, so And then the rest we're just gonna go ahead and do in reverse order. We're just gonna get this bad boy, install it like so, put the bolts back, and then I'll put the torque specs here on the top. Alright guys, so the rest just did in reverse order, and don't forget to comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good day. Alright guys, so basically since I'm already doing all this job, all this work, I'm actually going to also be showing you guys how to replace the lower ball joint on this Chevy Colorado. Very easy job. It's basically held in by 4 17mm. These are nuts, and in here at the bottom, I'm sorry, bolts, 17mm bolts, and then it's held in by this 27mm nuts. So what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna go ahead and show you how easy it is. And again, I did already separate the upper ball joint. Might as well just go ahead and do this bottom one since I'm already down here. Once you separated, you know, the tie rod end and the top, it's gonna expose the lower ball joint. So what I'm gonna do right now, I'm just gonna go ahead and I sprayed some penetrating oil, lubrication oil on the top bolts and then here as well, just so that way when I remove them it'll be much easier. So let me go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and start removing this, but I'm not gonna remove it all. I'm just gonna leave it the nut just a little bit halfway there, because I have to get a puller and pull this ball joint out. I want to do that, and then once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and remove all these 4 17mm bolts, and I'm actually going to grab the steering knuckle and place it on this bucket, just so that way I don't bend any brake lines and so forth, just so that we can keep it there while I change this ball joint. Alright, so I'm going to do that real quick and I'll show you step by step. Alright guys, so I'm going to use my 27mm socket here to get this. Alright, so remember, I didn't take it all the way. I just left it halfway because I have to get a puller and I can pop it, so I can pop this bad boy up. And then once I do that, that's going to free up the lower ball joint, and then I'm going to remove this all the way, and then I'm going to put the steering knuckle on top of that bucket and remove the rest. So I'm going to do that real quick. Alright guys, so this is actually the puller I'll be using. You can use something to this effect. Let me show you guys. So basically I'm just going to go ahead and put the arms around the actual steering knuckle, and I'll make sure that this is aligned straight, and then I'm going to go ahead and start ratcheting that in, and the whole purpose is to pop this ball joint out. So just want to share with you, and if you guys can, again, this is just one method. The other method, you could actually use a Thor hammer, something that looks like this, and just pound this bad boy a couple pops, and that should free up. Let me see if I get lucky. If I do 2 more, you know what, I didn't even have to use a puller. So now that that's been removed, I'm gonna go ahead and take this whole nut out, and again I'm gonna gently put this steering knuckle here, and then I'm gonna go to the next step and show you guys how to remove that. And again, this is just one method. Let me go and do that real quick. Alright guys, so I removed that bottom nut, so let me go and show you what I'm gonna do here. Bear with me. And again, I'm just using that bucket to hold that in place, and then it's going to help me start moving this. And again, this is a 17mm. Yes. And then I'm also going to use a 18mm. Let me show you guys, to hold that in place. And I'm going to go ahead and ratchet that out. So let me go. Alright guys, so this is what the setup literally looks like. Just putting that 18mm deep socket there, and then I'm gonna go ahead and ratchet impact that 17mm bolt. Here, let me show you real quick. Alright guys, once I remove the 18mm nuts, these 4 bolts, they're the same size, so you guys don't have to worry about what size they go. And then this should literally just come off like so. Alright, so let's go ahead and get that new part and compare it. Alright guys, so this is a new part from Moog. This is the part number here, K80997, lifetime warranty. Let's go and compare that. Let's see here. Okay, comes with the nuts, bolts, and I believe a cotter pin. Okay, let's see the actual part itself. Oh nice, this does come with a grease fitting. That's a plus. Let's see, compare them side by side. Okay, basically the same thing, just want to make sure the same length. Okay, yeah, looks good guys. And again, everything's gonna go in reverse order. Put this bad boy in like so, line up those 4 holes there, and then just tighten up. I will put the specs here on the top so that way you guys could torque those appropriately. Alright guys, so again, don't forget to grease the lower ball joint, and also don't forget to grease the top ball joint as well. And everything's going to go in reverse order. We're just going to go ahead and put this back, and I'll put the specs on how tight you have to put the lower ball joint to a steering knuckle here on the top. Alright guys, well hopefully this helps you guys out. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.